Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joel McGuire, and welcome to Eventricate Casino Tutorials. Today, we're going to learn all about Blackjack. Game of Blackjack is a game where your entire reason for playing is to get as close to or right at 21 with regards to the combination of cards that you have. The only person that you are trying to beat in order to make money at this game is the dealer. The dealer is trying to get to 21 as well. As long as your cards are better than those of the dealers, you are in great shape. So, I'll deal one card to each one of the positions for the players who are in play for this round. Then I'll deal a second set of cards, and I'll deal 2 cards to the dealer. Those are your hand. Once we have begun the process of the game, I'll begin with the first player to my left, going left to right, and ask that player if they want a card. Based upon what value they have in front of them, they may want to hit or stay. If they want to hit, they'll take a card. That value is then added to the cards they have in front of them. If they decide to stay, then the cards they have in front of them remain in their hand for the rest of that round of the game. At the end of the round, I, as the dealer, will reveal my cards, and based upon the value that I wind up with, which is at minimum 17 and maximum 21 without going over, that value is the remainder that I will have to play with to see if I beat the players. As the dealer, a couple things you should know. I need to always hit on 16 or less. What that means is, as the player, if you see a value that is 16 or less on the dealer side, you have the advantage of knowing that I'm going to have to take another card. So you, as the player, have the choice to either take a card and add to it if you think you're in a position to take one that will make your hand, or you can wait and see if the dealer busts, where you're giving me the opportunity to go out, in which case I make a winner of everybody at the table. Now, while you're trying to get to 21, you want to make sure that you're not going over 21. So staying at a hand that is reasonable, something that gives you an opportunity to win, is always a good idea. Staying at a 12, not so much. Staying at an 18, much better odds. Now, obviously you can't always tell what cards are going to come out when. So paying attention to the cards as they come out of what is called the shoe is a great way to follow the game. For example, if you see a number of cards valued at 10 coming out in a row, keeping track of how many of them, knowing that there are 6 decks of cards in an average shoe, is a good way to keep track of what is left in the shoe once those cards have been dealt out. There is tricks that you can use to sort of keep track of this. One of the most important of which is whoever is the last person being dealt to, they are considered the anchor at the table. What this means is they are the last person who has the opportunity to decide whether or not they are going to take a card. The reason I say that's important is, in a situation where the dealer may bust, that individual is going to be the last person to decide whether or not they take what is called the bust card, which is a card that will then put the dealer's cards over that 21-point value, thus making a winner out of the table. Now, I know this all sounds a little intricate to get started, but that's okay. It's a very simple game. Again, if you can count to 21, you can play the game of Blackjack. So once everybody's cards are dealt out, we have our 3 players who are involved in the game. Their 3 sets of hole cards are in front of them. Now they get to decide what they want to do with the cards they have. We'll start with our first player. Our first player is showing a 17, and the dealer is showing a 5. With the dealer showing a 5, The 17 looks to be in pretty good shape because if you make the assumption that the dealer has the best hand possible right now, the dealer only has 15, meaning what? They're going to have to take a card regardless. So we'll have player one. Player one will decide to stay. That would be the smart move. If they decided to take a card, let's just say they did. Oh my goodness, we've hit a jack. That puts us at 27 for player one. Unfortunately, player one is out, and their bet comes to the house. So, money first, cards second. Because nobody in Vegas cares if you leave the cards behind, they only care if you leave the money. So we move on to player two. Player two is showing a 5 and a 6. Not a great hand, you say? Not true. Because of the division of 6 decks, the odds of this individual getting a card worth a 10 spot is approximately 35%. So that's actually pretty decent odds on getting yourself to a point where you have 21. So we will, this player will take a hit. We'll add the card to it. And what do you know? It's a card valued at 10. We're showing a jack. That brings them to 21 total. So that person is in great shape. Finally, we move on to our last player. Last player is showing 9. Pull one card to take a hit on the 9. 9 and 7 is 16. Bit of a head scratcher, kind of a tough spot. But 16 is still better than what the 15 is that the dealer is showing as their whole card. So player 3, at this point, will stay. So now we've arrived. All the players have had the opportunity to make their decisions with regards to their hand, and we've arrived at the dealer portion. The dealer, as I said, is showing a 5. The dealer at this point has to reveal their whole card to the world. Oh my goodness, it's a 3. So the dealer only has 8 showing. Now all dealers must draw to 16 and stand on all 17s or better, as I said at the beginning. With 8 showing, the dealer is in the position where they have to take a card. So we'll add a card to it right now. Dealer takes a hit. We add a 3. 8 and 3 is 11. We're still not at 16 minimum. So we'll take another hit for the dealer. 11 and 4 is 15. The dealer needs to take one more card. Takes a hit. 15 and 8 brings us to 23 total for the dealer. The dealer busts, and everyone left at the table is a winner. As I said at the beginning of the game, the only person you're trying to beat in the game of blackjack is not your players, is not the other players to your left and right, the dealer only. So if your cards are better than the dealer, or the dealer busts, again, everyone's a winner. Great news. So, with that being the case, the remaining players who had chips in the game are going to receive wins from the house to the equivalent value of their total. With those totals paid out, those players will then decide what to do with the remainder of their chips. The dealer will then collect the cards, set them off for use again later, and we're on to our next hand. The next one that we'll focus on, now that we've gotten through regular gameplay, is going to be splitting. What is splitting? Splitting is when you as the player are dealt 2 cards that are identical. You get to decide whether you would like to split those 2 identical cards, giving you the opportunity to play 2 separate hands, or to keep the 2 cards together and play it down as a single hand. So let's see how this works. So we'll deal 1 card out to our player here. 9 to start. Second 9 for our second card. And the dealer is showing an 8 over top of their whole card. So now, our player has the opportunity to decide whether or not they want to play a hand valued at 18 when the dealer is showing an 8. And remember, the idea is you always have to keep in mind that you have to assume that the dealer has the best hand possible based upon the card that you're seeing. So in this particular case, the dealer would show 18 as well. That would be a push, by the way. A push is a tie between the player and the dealer. So if you want to tie with your dealer, you can stay. If you want to try and beat your dealer, you can split. So let's say this, for the sake of argument, this player has decided to split. So that player would begin by putting out an equivalent value of their chips so that there are now two hand values in play. And then we split the two nines as 1/2 of two sets of whole cards. So next, we need to start on the left-hand side, moving clockwise around the table. Our first hand here, our player will take one hit. Oh my gosh, it's an ace. Now, if you remember, I've already mentioned aces can be worth 1 or 11 to a player. They have the decision to make as to what value they would like to associate with that ace. With a 9 showing, the player is going to call it 11 and take a 20, moving on to the next 9. So let's take a hit on the next 9 and see where we come out. It's a queen. With a queen showing, the player now has one hand valued at 20 and one hand valued at 19. Both hands, if the expectancy that the player has the best hand possible, or that the dealer has the best hand possible, then both hands are better than 18 and have vastly improved the odds of beating the dealer for the player. So let's check the dealer's hole card. Flipping the whole card over, lo and behold, the dealer does show 18. With a queen and an 8, 18 is the total for the dealer, meaning the 20 and the 19 that our player has in play are both winners. So, once again, we'll take a payouts for our two winning hands. Then we'll collect the cards. And we are ready for our next hand. Now let's learn what a double down is. Doubling down is when you take your initial hand and make the decision that it is worth betting twice as much as your initial bet on it because you feel it's a winner. Unlike splitting, for example, where you split your cards and have the opportunity to play two hands, in this particular case, you're playing your original hand and adding only one card to your initial whole cards for your grand total. Let's see this in action. So let's deal our cards out first, starting with our player. We've got an 8 showing. Our next card for our player is a 3, bringing them to a total of 11. And the dealer shows 9. So, with 11 up, our player has the opportunity to make the decision if they want to take a hit or double down. Why would they decide to double down in this case? Because they're showing 11. With 11 showing, as I mentioned before, there's about a 35 to 40% chance that they're going to get a card valued at 10. With 6 decks of cards to an average shoe, if they hit that card valued at 10, they'll be at 21, which will give them an excellent hand. However, the caveat to playing a double down is not only do you have to double your bet, but your whole card, the whole cards that you have in front of you, the card that you add to it is actually going to be face down, and you won't know what that card is until after the dealer has revealed their hand. Let's see that in action. With the cards being what they are in front of our player, we'll add one card with the player having made the decision to double down, namely with the $1,800 they had for their initial bet, they've added an additional $1,800 to that total, so there's $3,600 on the line for whatever this one card is going to be. That said, now we move to the dealer position. The dealer shows 9. Flipping the card over, the dealer shows a 6 for their whole card, giving them a total of 15. Now, at the moment, the advantage falls to the player because the dealer is going to have to take an additional card. And that same percentage also works against the dealer in this case, because should they go over, then the dealer will have busted, and no matter what the value of that card is, the player will have won. Let's see if that's the case. Taking one card, adding it to the dealer's whole cards. The next card is a 3. 15 and 3 is 18, which means that we are over the threshold of a minimum of 17 that the dealer needs to stay. So the dealer is going to take no more cards and stand at 18. So, with 11 showing, our player is going to need a card valued at 7 for a push, which is a tie with the dealer, or preferably an 8 or higher in order to win. So let's see if that's the case. Flipping one card over, oh my goodness, it's just a 4. So adding 4 to 11 gives us a total of 15. So that is the max that this player will unfortunately be able to play with for this hand, and that's not nearly enough to be a winner. So, as per usual, Vegas doesn't care if you leave the cards behind, just if you leave the money. So we'll take all $3,600. We'll put it in to our bank. We'll collect our cards. Leave the player in a position to cry about their loss, and we're on to our next lesson. All right, so on to the next nuance of the game of blackjack. This is actually a very important one. It is called insurance. What is insurance? Well, what is insurance in your own life? Insurance is basically the money that you pay to ensure that if the world is horrible to you, that you'll come out all right. It works pretty much the same way in the game of blackjack. Allow me to demonstrate. So let's say we've got these two players in play. We'll deal out the cards as normal. We see a 9 and an 8 for player 1 and player 2. Adding to that, we'll make it a jack and a queen for a 19 and an 18. Oh my goodness, the dealer is showing an ace. This is where insurance will come into play. Whenever the dealer shows an ace, as previously mentioned, you have to assume that the dealer has the best hand possible, which in this case is 2 cards totaling 21, a card worth 10, and an ace, making blackjack. Well, blackjack, as we know, is the best hand in the game of blackjack. It's right in the name. But in this particular case, since the dealer has the possibility of having blackjack, we have to allow the players the opportunity to defend against it. And how do we do that? By providing the opportunity to purchase insurance against the hand that the dealer already has in play. Again, let me demonstrate. So, to begin with, insurance it's kind of like a one-stop for players. The dealer will stop play and ask if anybody would like to purchase insurance. Now, I don't know if you can see that from where you're at, but insurance pays 2 to 1. What does that mean? That means, for example, these two players both have $600 on the line for their bet. If they were under the impression that the card beneath the ace is a 10, if that's their belief, then in fact, the dealer already has blackjack and both of their hands are already beaten. So if they believe that is the case, then they can then spend $300 or 1/2 of their initial bet, put it on the insurance line, and will determine whether or not the dealer has insurance when the dealer checks their hole card. So let's just say player 1 right here is looking at his cards and he's like, well, I've got a 19, but he's got an ace showing. That's pretty scary. I think I'm going to take insurance on this hand. Okay. With $600 in play, as I mentioned, 1/2 of the bet will then be placed on the insurance line. By the same token, the reason it pays out at 2 to 1 is because should player 1 be correct, and the dealer does in fact have blackjack, while the hand is beaten and this $600 will go to the house, the $300 on the insurance line will pay out twice over, thereby winning the player back their initial bet. So player one's already made the decision that he's scared, that the dealer has blackjack and he's already losing. Player two over here thinks about it, passes on insurance. And that's exactly how it should happen at your table. Your dealer will offer insurance, wait a couple of seconds. If there are no takers, insurance is closed. So now we're on to the next step in the insurance process. This now falls to the dealer. The dealer must check their hole card to make sure that there is or is not a blackjack there. So taking a peek, oh my gosh, so the dealer has blackjack. We know this because once the dealer determines that they do have blackjack, they are then required to reveal their hole card, showing the blackjack to the world and the players, and then we can determine what to do with the hands that have already been dealt out to the players who are still in play. So starting with player one. Player one, they were worried that I was already a blackjack in play. So they put that $300 on the insurance line. So as the dealer, I'm going to worry about their money, of course, as usual. Their $600 would technically come to the house. However, because insurance was taken in this particular case, I'll simply move it back, place it next to the insurance bet that was 1/2 the rate of the initial, thereby winning back their total, and these dollars all go back to player one. Whereas, looking over here at player two's situation, they still have 18 showing. Blackjack will always beat 18, so unfortunately, those dollars will come to the house. Now, there is an alternative situation and an alternative outcome to the blackjack. Let's go through that situation now. So as before, our two players have their $600 each in play. Bets will remain the same as what we just used previously. And here come the cards. So once again, we see a 9 for player 1, an 8 for player 2, whole card for the dealer. A jack makes 19 here, and a queen makes 18 here, and the dealer turns up an ace. Okay, same situation, same bets, same players. Same situation begins with the dealer now having to offer insurance because they're showing an ace as their up card. So, once again, player 1 looks at his cards. Oh my gosh, I have 19. I'm really scared. So we're going to go ahead and put 1/2 of our initial bet on the insurance line to insure against losing our initial. Player 2, as before, has decided, well, I'm going to take the chance that the dealer does not have blackjack. I'm not going to put any money on the insurance line, and I'm going to play the hand down as normal. No problem. So now we've come around to the dealer. The dealer, as previously mentioned, needs to offer insurance, which we just did, and then close insurance. Once that is done, the dealer must check their hole card. So we'll take a peek. Ladies and gentlemen, the dealer does not have blackjack. Now, as I mentioned previously, if the dealer does have blackjack, they have to reveal their hole card. If the dealer does not have blackjack, then the gaming continues as normal, with one caveat. The insurance money that player 1 put out to insure against the dealer having blackjack comes to the house. And now the hand plays down as normal with the ace showing for the dealer. So let's run through that. Player 1 stays at 19. Player 2 stays at 18. The dealer then reveals their hole card. So the dealer shows 6 or 16. Taking a hit, that makes 12 for the dealer. 18 for the dealer. All right. With 18 showing, the dealer must stand because we're at 17 or better, just like normal, and payouts will occur as normal as well. So in this particular case, our player who had the 19 up 19 beats 18, we pay out here. 18 and 18 is a tie, or what we call a push at the blackjack table. So we indicate a push here, and this hand is over. Now, the reason that is a very important distinction using insurance is because in Vegas, the book says that insurance is a sucker bet. Why? Because in the game of blackjack, this is the only occasion where you have the opportunity to lose on the same hand, not once, but twice. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us for our Inventricate Casino tutorials today. We hope you enjoyed it. Please check us out on all of our social media profiles. And remember to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And check out our website at eventricate.com for more fantastic Inventricate Casino tutorials to learn all about how to win in Vegas.